the microphone is off.
And so, I'll forgive you. $11 million for I'll forgive you because maybe you don't have full understanding of the
Make your point. Make your point. If you keep saying this, you keep inviting you. He has to withdraw that. Hold
on. Abusiafo Professor Gyampo a clashed with a year ura ye friend of Dr. Zaato any Professor Bob Queen any a year ura ye friend of lawyer Martin Kpebu what you say on key points my shade trasa adiwi na uti analysis a omoye na you can attest to the fact that sometimes NPP for she does agenda. But this time around, no, omo hwehwe agenda ni bia omunye bi. Enti ompeso omo yeden omo fa sa incident na isi ewo star aye elwak hono. Edi ye omo wey omo agenda. Any the Chief Justice and also Nidiano. Inti yanko ne inti nkomo bi na yakoba ya to also. Let's also be subscribe to the channel now. I like Hanum and you are number one authentic platform. Happy Sunday to everyone.
And improvement in revenue mobilization. Now our debt to GDP we are told is around 45%. 28 billion cedis. Billion cedis to keep our lights, to keep Ghana switched on. I mean, investing in the energy sector. You have also the road infrastructure of 30 billion under the Big Push plan, and then also 500 million commercial agriculture. And I think I had an engagement with him and was saying that one of the interventions that would have to be put in place by government to address illegal mining it's about finding ways of diversifying sources of employment, and that some of the illegal miners, if you look at the way a miner, they are always chased, they are panting, they are running. It's just that some they don't have work to do, but if they get other source of employment, and so this commercial agriculture thing with investment of $500 million would help in providing other sources of livelihood and employment for people. And then the decision to end double track system in our SHS program, free SHS program within 24 months, I think it's also commendable. And then I heard him talking about completion of the Agenda 111 by also bringing about the building of hospitals in newly created regions, no payment of mobilization fee. I've said that 150 million being committed to the fight against Galamsey. And then also, I mean, some of these things, my issue has been that rather than always budget statement being prepared and then we sitting here to speak English, we should also go down there to explain how these things tangibly affect the livelihood of the ordinary people. Because otherwise then it's always about macroeconomic stability and all those things that really people may not feel. So it is important that the government itself and then finance minister, finds a way of getting to the grassroots and ensuring that some of these things that have tangible the citizen budgets. Well, so I think it's something that must be done, and this is, like you're saying, must only they should be tasked to be deliberate and intentional about it. So because you see, when you cannot talk about governance when good governance when achievements are always high up there and then they don't mean really tangible. They are not tangible in a manner that affects the life that are felt by the ordinary people. So it's important that having presented to Parliament, and I know Parliament is going to be deliberating upon it, I think members of Parliament themselves must also take it, as part of their town hall meetings, to talk about how tangibly beneficial the budget is going to be for them. I think that so far, in my view, there may be challenges here and there, but I think so far, Ato is doing well. I heard my brother talking about attribution and the way we have to be cautious about how we attribute. Sure. Look, as I believe that, look, if people did things well, they must be commended. If people did things right, they must be commended. And if you are celebrating today, and there is a reason for us to look into yesterday, to also see that, well, it did not happen only, from the moon, but it has some antecedent. It's important we do it. But the point is that to also sound like nothing, that all the things that are happening today are as a result of things that happened in the past, creates an impression that then we could have gotten here even if we were on autopilot. Governance was on autopilot, which is an unfair analysis of the situation. See, within 2-3 days or 1 week in his administration, the whole nation was faced with an imminent power shutdown. The whole Ghana was going to be switched off. And when that was about to happen, people started blaming President Mahama, who had been just about 1 month in office, that you've come and then there's going to be doom so. But this was something that a previous regime didn't do. Okay? So we're going to blame it on him. But he stood up and said that I'm assuring you will do what we have to do to keep Ghana switched on. So my point is that if Ghana today had collapsed, if the economy had collapsed today, would we have said that it was the previous administration? Would have the current administration would have taken the blame. And so if things are going on right, and I want to say that no, there's nothing that you are doing, I don't think that it is right. As an academic, when I'm given a dossier to assess for people's promotion, I look at what is right about it, what is commendable about it, what is significant about it, and what the contributions of those dossiers would be to the scholarly enterprise. When I do that, then I will also go on to talk about the challenges or problems, and then I will draw my conclusion. So my view is that it is unfair for us to look at our analysis from an angle of refusing to give credit when there is due, when it is, we have to give credit, and then always say, no, you have not done anything. If Ghana had been on autopilot, wouldn't have been where we are. There are things that clearly the government is doing well, and regardless of your partisan political persuasion, if it will not hurt. I mean, I think that we gain a lot of respectability and credibility when we're able to say that this is right, but this is wrong. I don't have to be MPP to say that.
I don't think I can stand here for this. I think it is too much. I have tried to remain very calm. He's attacked. I mean, when it comes to credibility, Dr.
Donfe, I say that
you made reference to me and you are hitting me.
So, Dr. Donfe, I think you would do the program a lot of good if you let me finish. I think you have your
to those who are viewing it, be fair to them
when you run. All right. So, Alfred, let me make the point that I think that the program as has been run over the years has been a program, it's been a decent platform. Okay, there were so many things that he said. In fact, I'm not really making a personal attack on you if I have to clarify.
That's why you don't do that.
So I am here and I'm saying that I'm not making a personal attack. No, see, please.
Do that
so Dr. Donfe, I do not fear if I have to attack you personally. No, I'm saying that, but I'm saying I'm not attacking your person.
I don't think.
Okay, but the point is that you see when you
respect the moderator, I beg.
So
we are academics.
I don't think you will serve. We are going on this.
No, I'm just trying to make the point that when we are disagreeing with each other and we are making our points, I mean, we have to be civil enough in waiting for each other to finish. No, I'm calm. But I'm just trying to say that. So when credit is due,
okay,
we must give. And when we have to criticize, we must criticize. Okay. But to always say that, no, you have not done anything. No, you cannot attribute this to... I mean, I think it's unfair. And it's important that I put it on record.
Okay, well, Mr. Bentil, just see, I need to round up on
the
this.
wrap up
so that
all of this. I have my 1 minute.
No. 1 minute. 1 minute. No, don't worry. I'll come to you. Mr. Bentil.
The wrap up on all of this is this, please. Governance is a continuum. Number one. Number two, nobody inherits a blank slate. What we are saying here is that in fact, Prof Bopkin just said that the worst situation we had, the debt situation, was under NDC. Then NPP came, seemed to have shipped us out and ended us in a worse situation than that. Yeah. Then you have, and I always made the point that after Kenoforeta came Mohammed Amin. And Amin repaired a lot. And then Ato comes up, and Ato is following from there. Look, this government must be commended. I said earlier that sometimes you have damaging directors. They take a good thing and they make it worse. They have taken a good thing and made it better. But they can't take all the credits. There must be graciousness and credit sharing.
Okay.
The attribution must be balanced because let's understand that no one group, party or person will take this country forward. If we get our act together and we at this great finish to a point, let somebody continue. So let's have this, spirit.
Right on.
That if we continue like this, then everybody will add a bit.
Right.
Everybody has some blame. Everybody has some credit. Let's move.
Perfect. Honorable Dr. Gyampo, because you will leave us, so I'll give you your last word on this.
Prof. Hopkins said a couple of things, in fact a lot of things, but one key thing that he said is the approach of the finance minister. It's not only cancelling payment or mobilization to contractors who take the money.
I'm the one who said that.
Okay, great. So apologies. So the credit indeed, what is done is also to direct and give guidelines to the district assembly's common fund administrator. Now he pays up to 80% of what is due to them to the assembly directly.
This year?
Yes. Yeah. They no longer contract for the construction of astroturfs in Accra. And they don't buy things in Accra and use the assembly's money to pay for them when the assemblies are in distress. Yeah. Now the assemblies are getting the resource to do what we need to do. So now he's pinning them down. 10% to health infrastructure, 10% to education, 25% to existing, that's legacy projects, 25% to model markets every year. That's why if you hear Speaker is saying, if a lot of resources are beginning to go to the local areas, then we need to strengthen the capacities of assemblymen so that they can hold the chief executives to account properly. Otherwise, then the funds that are going may not be applied to the people. So there are a lot of structural things happening, right, which would eventually lead to the kind of progress we want to see in our rural areas.
Right.
In a very decentralized manner.
Thank you very much.
So these are very, very major policies that are yielding fruits.
I think I can go
Dr. Dunphy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Calm down.
Yeah. I mean, Alfred, thank you very much. And let me put it on record that this program started with us. Those days when this lady used to hold the program. So it's not as if I'm appearing on this program for the first time. It started with us. I used to come here almost every Saturday, and we're always making decent.
You're going to be
contribution and all that.
Then, so
Prof Bopkin spoke. Some of the things he said, I don't agree with him. Some of those that I said, he didn't agree with me. Some of what I said, he's a prophet. He spoke as an academic, a very decent one as for that matter. He never attacked me. I have respect for such people. I have never said that nothing is happening. I am complaining about the attribution, and I kept on saying that significantly is because of the rainfall. If I say significantly, because the growth in question here is in reference to the first 6 months. And this budget started working 1st April. So even if they had brought whatever magic to push the agricultural sector, I don't think that within the 3 months, April, May, June, could push the sector to grow at 6%. And I have shown you data where anytime it rains very well, agricultural sector does well. And if because of this you think I'm not being academic, I have a problem.
No, my problem
What
is when you said nobody could do anything about the pandemic.
Let me make the point.
I said that.
That's what you said. It wasn't academic at all. You didn't sound academic. You didn't sound academic.
Let me say this.
And I'm putting it on record.
Yes.
Let me repeat that.
No, you make the point. Let me just say that. He's on the floor.
No, you're saying he's not academic, and I'm saying what is not academic in the
to make the point. I think you need to ensure some decorum. Ensure some decorum because I don't like this.
I mean, to answer you.
No.
November 2019, government had read the budget. We were going to spend 85 billion, and to rake in also 66 billion. And I mean, we incur fiscal deficit of 4.7%, and that would have been within the remits of the law because we were working under the Fiscal Responsibility Act, right? And we enter a year. You didn't know there was going to be anything COVID before we could say that expenditure had ballooned to 104 billion, and then revenue dropped to 55 billion. There was a revenue shortfall of 11 billion, and that 11 billion was significantly because of the import duties that we were not getting.
Well, like the foolish lady, we didn't prepare, we didn't have resilience. So they had resilience. Very good. Now you are talking. No, I said that nobody could do it.
You are the one who is inviting him in.
The vulnerability. There was no answer.
Oh, no answer. You had the opportunity to do farms. You had the opportunity to do farms. You had the opportunity to do rice farms. Did you do that? Well, like the foolish lady, you didn't prepare for the
Your microphone is off.
And so, I'll forgive you.
I'll
forgive you because maybe you don't have full understanding of the
Make your point. Make your point. If you keep saying this, you keep inviting him.
He has to withdraw that.
Hold on. Continue. No, I'm not stopping you. You continue. You continue. You continue. Let me just say this.
Our economy has been vulnerable.
And that's the point we are making. So we brought you in to transform it. You are not getting the argument.
Thank you, man. You continue. I want you to end your point.
Yeah, so my
specifically,
my point is that
I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question. Somebody Dr. Donfe. You are not listening to me. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, you are not. You are not listening to me. Thank you very much. We are back shortly.
So I didn't meet you. So Melon, I am a solo and I only somebody. So he says it would happen. So I'm happy. So I told you must solve that room.
Thank you.
He actually mentioned the contractors next. He said that's one. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, Honorable, you did say that under the Ghana Feed Program, free fertilizer was supplied, right?
Yeah.
We didn't get it. We didn't get it.
It's been supplied.
It didn't come.
It's been supplied.
See, you said
they will look
Honorable. You said that Honorable. I've been in
feedback. So we'll take it.
Can I make the point? Yes. I've been inundated with messages that, hey, where is our fertilizer? Ghana fertilizer. Ghana fertilizer. No. It didn't come to Salis.
Okay.
And I'm sure it didn't come to Salis West. And even there's something from Navrongo Central and China Paga. They didn't get their fertilizer. So what happened to our fertilizers? That's a good point. So if you said it's free, we didn't get it. Okay. Good. We didn't get it. The fertilizer didn't come. Or maybe it came and it disappeared. It didn't come. Now fertilizer Kalana. But what you are listening is very important. People must say now now let me make myself 30 points on the budget.
Just briefly so that we can move on.
It shouldn't about people talk about budget. Let me also talk small. Don't worry, let me talk budget.
You know why you are here.
Let me talk budget. Look, there are some fundamental indicators that are very good. And you cannot sit here and wish them away. They are good. Inflation, fuel prices, stability of the city, those are good. And so we must acknowledge that some good work has been done. The argument has been who takes credit. And I'm saying that give the credit to Atom.
give the credit to NDC. They've done it. But from today onwards, we must also then say that the economy is now a JDM NDC economy. There is no need for you to go back and be comparing to, because we have been doing that. We have refused to assess the NDCs on its own performance strength. But we are always trying to do a comparative analysis all the time. When you do that, you are not being fair. So this economy now is the NDC economy, the AGM. We must acknowledge that. Secondly, Honorable Otofoso, please ignore the hype men, ignore the praise singers. They will lead you into a ditch. Ignore them and focus. But there's something else. I want to look at the figures. Some of the things that came. It's very important that we talk about it. One, if you look at all this has happened, ask myself, what is the value of all these good economic indicators? Workers have just been given a paltry amount of 9%. So if the economy is doing very good, why have workers been surcharged with only 9%? And that is why I now ascribe wholly to a theory proposed by Professor Gyampo is here. Professor Gyampo has argued that some of the labor unions that have been sent to go and negotiate will get rich at the expense of our workers. That they are there advancing their own interests and they are not arguing well, and that is why they are getting rich and workers are getting poor. I want to believe that is what has happened here. That the unions, when they went to negotiate, they were looking at their stomach and their pockets, not that of workers. Go FM did an analysis, a very good one. And they said that the real value of the 9% increase is 1 cedi. So if all these indicators go, and His Excellency the President promised workers that if the economy gets well, he will pay them more. So my question is, the economy got well, he didn't pay them more. Why? And that's very important. Thirdly, the cedi stabilization we all agree is due to gold money. A lot of gold. Gold is now about 5,000 or 6,000 there. It's good. The gold is coming. This government is a social democratic government. So they believe that they don't believe in the invisible hand of the market. They believe that the government must directly intervene. So they are pumping billions and billions to do it. I have no problem with that. It's an ideological and a philosophical position. I agree with that. But the question I want to ask the finance minister was saying that, what is your formula?
I want him to round up. Gentlemen, hold on.
Is your formula?
Don't do that.
Is your formula? What is your formula when the gold prices come to 1,000 cedis? What will you do when gold prices come to 1,000 cedis? What will you need a formula, and if not, you'll be caught with your pants down. So the minister must tell us what is your formula. And then I come to gold bond. They've said a lot about gold, but just one question that still remains: what happens to the Galamsey gold in this country?
That matter.
Galamsey gold, where does it go? Somebody needs to be able to own up and say Ghanaians Galamsey goes to gold board, and that is part of it. Galamsey gold, and that is why the government is reluctant to do this. Where does the Galamsey gold go? We need to that answer.
Right.
Thank you.
Professor Martin, round that for me, because you have to do that. He's asked the question. Thank you very much. Professor Martin, I need to hear you out on this. I want us to round up.
Okay, so thank you very much. Certainly, the reset agenda and the way they've started it, we all agree. The results vindicate the approach. Inflation has come down. In fact, inflation has come down much faster.
Everything is in the right direction.
Yes, and then so of course, everything, and then of course there's a little bit of misalignment because some of the macro rates are not trending aggressively like we've seen inflation. But with time, they will align and all of that. And as I also indicated, fiscal consolidation, especially when you front load it the way we have done, will certainly have side effects in terms of growth. And so if you check GDP growth quarter on quarter, you realize that the first quarter growth was high. Second quarter growth slowed a bit. Again, when you check the high frequency data for July, you can see that the July 2025 GDP growth was much slower compared to July 2024 and all of that. But I believe that in the short term, there are considerable price we need to pay to be able to restore and then build. Then again, if you see the 2026 budget and all of that, the effectiveness of the budget will come down to budget execution and then the efficiency and the strategy going forward. So if you check our comment, Alfred, in 2017, 2018, it's not different from what we are saying today.
Exactly.
When you see a government, I hope you understand that, that sets out to do the right thing, but when they deviate, we also deviate from our position as well. So all that I would say as a signing off is that we say that the glory of the latter shall be greater than the former.
Amen.
Okay. Let's bear that in mind that it's not 100 meters we are running, so that we say we are done.
Thank you.
It's a marathon. And also, let's begin to align our budget numbers to be people focused, so that we are more particular about how many people we are taking out of poverty, how we are narrowing inequality, and then we are also tracking job creation from all the relevant state database and all of that.
Matter.
Yes, that is what matters. Again, let's also appreciate that it takes time for macro level development to impact micro, and then and individuals. It will take a while, and household level. It will take a while. Of course, we also take cognizance of the fact that household level consumption has gone up significantly, which is very good. We need to complement that also with government as well and all of that. So between the gap between macro level development and micro level, we need to come out with sector specific policies targeted and make sure that there's efficiency in how they are implemented.
Thank you very much. Professor Geoffrey Bopkin, thank you very much for... your microphone is off, by the way. This one here, quite a number of your messages. Price of inputs like seeds, fertilizer, chemicals were extremely costly under the NPP, and this also affected the size of farmlands cultivated by farmers in the past. It says, I agree with... It says, I agree with Kofi Bentil when he says that there has to be some progress and stability looking forward. We all cannot deny the level of stability. Yes, indeed. Kofi Bentil is right in aligning what happened in the case of Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam in the last 10 months and what is happening now. Finance ministers need cool heads, truthfulness, honesty, and not pretense, you say. You're just quoting what Kofi Bentil said earlier. This one here says that, please ask Kofi Bentil that if you're a finance minister and cannot protect your purse against wastage and thievery to safeguard your finances, then there's no need that you hold that portfolio. I think, Ben, thank you. This one here, I think a number of you referencing Dr. Donfe's statement on the rainfall and how it impacts our grape. You'll say, kindly let your production team speak to Matthew to give us 2024 and 2025 rainfall data and how it impacted on food production. You say, this one here says that let's be less aggressive, reduce tariffs, which is high in the sub-region. And the issue about local production is high prices. Input for product is extremely high within the sub-region. We can focus on substantial transformation of production by reducing high tariffs. You say, thank you, Dr. Kwame Asante. Thank you very much for your message. Quite a number of you referencing something that Nancy Rosen also quoted about gold board production over the period. Thank you very much. This one here says that, okay, Alfred, March 2025 saw above average rainfall across most parts of northern Ghana, while the southern half experienced slightly drier conditions. Moderate dryness was observed in isolated areas. The breadbasket areas in Afram Plains and the transition middle belt experienced long dry spell affecting crop production. Compared to last year, first half was good and second half was bad with rains. Richmond is a farmer. In fact, 3 years ago, he was a Greater Accra regional best farmer, so he knows exactly what he's talking about. Richard, thank you very much for your message this morning. And I acknowledge all the messages that I have received on this, the first part of this conversation where we've touched on 2 of the issues, in fact 3 of them that we've been dealing with. We go straight into the Chief Justice nominees vetting and approval by Parliament. But before that, let me tell you about Blue Financial Services. Professor Bopin, thank you. Thank you for coming. He's also going to take a leave of us. Are you a salaried worker, an SME owner, or a trader in need of quick and reliable financial support? It's time to make your money work for you with Blue Loans from Blue Financial Services Ghana Limited. You get fast, flexible, and affordable financing tailored to your needs. No long queues, no stress,
just the support you deserve when you need it most. Call Blue Financial Services on 050-160-9958. 050-160-9958.
Challenge the constitutionality of a presidential decision sometime last year, when in February the president woke up, I believe it was 14th of February, Valentine's Day, and dismissed several of his ministers in a sweeping statement with immediate effect, and wished them well. And then in the same release, sought to reshuffle ministers that he had pronounced them terminated. So I thought that was quite interesting, constitutionally speaking, because if you terminate the appointment of someone, the person was no longer available to be reshuffled. You have power to reappoint the person, but my position in law was that nomination, that appointment, ought to be subject to parliamentary pre-approval processes. So I sued, and I brought an injunction to injunct the vetting process. The Supreme Court told me that, well, yes, it may be before us seeking interpretation of what has happened, constitutionality or otherwise, but we cannot injunct a constitutional body, a constitutional organ of state, such as Parliament, from performing its constitutional functions. So to that extent, my prayer for an injunctive relief in the interim was refused. So the vetting went on, and they went to occupy office until the election came and they left. So the precedents have been set. The law is trite that a mere filing of a process before the court you can't call on the court to injunct a constitutional body or an organ of state from performing its functions. Otherwise, any busybody can file a process before the Supreme Court and ask the Supreme Court to injunct. So even the executive can be injuncted from even preparing, undertaking its constitutional duties. But, and our brothers knew this, and yet they sought to find a back door to ventilate this matter and harp on it. They actually brought a motion to Parliament to, as it were, injunct Parliament, to ask Parliament to decline proceeding with the vetting of Justice Bafuboni. Speaker went through the conditions of admissibility and found that the motion was inadmissible, and issued a declaration to that effect. They still decided to hash the terms of the motion paper into a press statement sort of, and brought it before the committee. So this was where we had disagreement. And the terms were, a lot of the phrases employed in the press statement were so prejudicial. Some were even going to the infradig of the CJ nominee. And we thought it was unfair.
Right.
So this is where we disagreed. So eventually they left. But they came back to the floor when we were adopting the reports to actually remake all these points. So we went through with the vetting. CJ, I believe, will be one of the most impactful CJs, even though his time will be a bit short. But the policy outlines that he has, matters that he spoke to in terms of reforms, are very, very forward-looking. For instance, we have situations at the magisterial level where I asked him that the issue of the career magistrates, where they are not paid for the equal work, they are not paid the same wages for the equal work that they do with the professional magistrates, and asked him whether he would consider bringing that program back and making it better. He says yes. Because we are not getting lawyers to join the lowest level of the bench. So the agreement is that he will bring it back. People are struggling to enter law school. They have the LLBs all over, but they are not getting admission to enter law school. So that could be an avenue for people to train and be magistrates. And also there are opportunities for you to go through the ranks and rise through the ranks all the way to the highest level. And that will be the difference.
To man the district courts, magistrate
courts. Yes, because you see, the district courts, he makes the point that, for instance, he's promoted about 45 to the circuit. Circuit judges have also been promoted to the High Court. So if you put them together, there is an opening for about 115 magistrates. But you won't get 115 lawyers or more applying to fill those as magistrates. So you need other source of training to bring in the necessary arbitrators, magistrates to be able to handle matters at the level. And we have a lot of district courts. You have one magistrate, for instance, in Peki, he may be doing relieving in Amfoina or relieving in Panto. You understand? So when he's able to introduce this, it will help. Then 2, reforms in terms of legal education. If you are aware, you know that I've been in the forefront fighting that the legal present system of training should be improved.
Exactly.
So it's also for it. It's for the reforms. When the bill comes and it's passed, it's going to champion the implementation. And it will give the law school as it is now in Makola the opportunity to also train, introduce other programs. You know what our judges, when they are appointed, if you want to train academically to acquire additional academic degrees, you have to either you do it here or you have to be sent abroad. LLM in a lot of the specialized areas. The law school have the opportunity to do that. It will be a source of revenue earner. The Judicial Training Institute too, we have had discussions, and I think that it should be turned into an academy, like it is in India, where judges, they are awarded academic qualifications for the training that they do, and it will become a model training, judicial training institute in the sub-region that can serve the Commonwealth, other Commonwealth regions in West Africa as well as on the continent and elsewhere. So then judges reforms at the appellate level. The Court of Appeal now sits zonally. The regions have been zoned and they sit. Part of the reforms is that, for instance, if Kofi has a matter before the Court of Appeal which sits in Koforidua for the Volta and Eastern Zone, he may not necessarily have to travel to Koforidua to be heard. He's introducing virtual platforms where Kofi can sit. Maybe a courtroom will be designated in Accra. He goes to stand before that court and speak to the screen, and the judges may also not be virtually sitting in Koforidua. But meanwhile, that is the Eastern Appellate Court of Appeal panel. They could be in their chambers and listen to arguments. So a lot of this will bring reform. It will also check the issue of judges knowing people, so it will reduce the human interface. Then second, the panel will also be sitting, I think, rotationally. So that you have a Court of Appeal panel that can sit in the morning, another panel sit in the afternoon or in the evening when we are using a virtual space. So cases will be more rapidly heard and disposed of. You understand? So the CJ has some lofty ideas, and I believe that he has the opportunity to implement them, especially because government is committed to also supporting.
He has 1 year.
Projects.
He has 1 year.
Yeah, but these are doable.
All this doable within 1 year?
Yes, these are doable. It's a matter of policy directives. That, for instance, once the legal reform bill is passed, and I'm hoping that we'll pass it before December, before we go on recess in December. If it's done, the implementation begins in January. You understand? And that is done. And the career magistrates program can also be implemented. The reforms can be introduced and implemented in January.
Right.
It's all about executing the policies and ensuring that they are implemented. And they have some good figures in the budget to support these reforms because they are anticipated. Then housing for the judges will continue from where the past government left off, to offer housing accommodation for judges so they are more comfortable. Now the model court houses that we are building, it comes with accommodation for the judge. The judges don't struggle to look for accommodation wherever they are transferred to. So things are really looking good with the kind of policies that he wants to introduce.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Bentil, on this, because of the position that the minority had, in fact, the reason why they walked out.
Yes, and if I may ask permission to leave your presence, because we have the post budgets.
It's a fair point.
And
please.
Speaker. is about
There'll be free food and booze. Why don't you invite?
Okay.
Zaato.
Am I invited?
Zaato, come as a facilitator.
Nelson Wilson Report is Majority Chief Whip MP for Sunrise. Thank you for coming. Mr. Bentil.
Yeah. So let's say this generally. I was very happy when Justice Eni Yeboah became the Chief Justice. The reason why I was very happy was because Justice Eni Yeboah did all his schooling in Ghana, most of it, and went to local schools, also that kind of thing, and he was such a high quality judge. He rose through the ranks and became a CJ, and it made me proud that we could produce somebody like that here. Myself, I've had most of my education in Ghana, and I believe it's a testament to what is possible, you know, if we put our minds to do something. And Chief Justice Bafuboni is that type, solid judge. You won't find anybody who really has massive problems with Chief Justice Bafuboni. We've all gone before him and had little situations here and there. I have been before him recently on a number of occasions, and I wasn't too happy, but that's the nature of the game. But my respect for him remains intact, which is why I am really pained. It really hurts me that the ascent of a man who has paid his dues to this extent should be shaded by the situation surrounding it. And on this platform, I have said, look, process is process. There are two types of justice: procedural justice and substantive justice. The process by which justice is delivered is by itself also justice. And we have said that, look, dispose of the matters concerning the previous Chief Justice, Tokono. She has issues. She's filed them in a proper court, properly so. Please sit over it, deal with it, dispose of it. You have about 4 or so cases which have not been disposed of. And look, it may seem esoteric or whatever, but it is important that technically people should know that if her removal was wrong, her reinstatement in principle is possible in law.
If her removal was wrong,
yes,
the reinstatement is possible
in law, because it's public office. Okay, so you see, these things, somebody says, oh, she herself is not asking to come back. And the principles are important. And I was telling somebody that, look, she as Chief Justice, and who was the person overseeing all of the justice system, if she was being dealt the bad hand in terms of the justice system procedures, she's the one who has to fight it. Okay, so for me, it really is a stain on the system that the issues she raised have not been disposed of, yet we have overreached and we've gone for her to do this. Okay, and the unfortunate part of it is that it is Justice Bafuboni who it shades. This man who has paid his dues, look at the number of years he has spent as a Supreme Court Justice. Who has heard anything about him? And like he himself told you, he transcends, governments. All right, and then he has to have this cloud over him. Okay, so that really is my pain. But look, my respect for Justice Bafuboni is intact. I wish he ascended in a cloud of glory, so we all look and say, look, this is what we have produced in this country. This is what is possible. It is possible for a person to live between regimes, even military regimes, do his job, do it so well that he ascends to the very top of his game. All that being said, like we said, he has a year. With that man's experience, if anybody knows what is wrong with our system, he does. But look, I disagree with those who think he can change everything in a year. He can't. But this is what he can do. He can set the course. He can set the course for the reforms that we need. And he said some of those things. Look, we are at a point where it doesn't make sense for us to do justice delivery the way it was done 100 years ago. One of the ways, and these paradigms, because they are so hardened in our system, it's difficult for us to break out of them. A paradigm like you have to go to a court to be heard. Today in the US and in many other countries, developed countries, in fact not only developed countries, India and other places, they do it. You don't have to go to a court to be heard. The Supreme Court does hearings over the phone. And it's public. Everybody can dial in and hear the arguments. All right. In Ghana, when the courts are on vacation, we do virtual hearings. I sit in my office and the judges are in their office and the other lawyers in their office. We all connect Zoom, Teams, and we do it. So the paradigm is hardened in us that you have to go to a court to be heard. It is no longer true. And the truth of the matter is that justice will be better delivered If we move quicker into these areas, already we've started. This is what Justice Bafuboni can do. He can move us, set the course for us to move faster in that direction and do the justice delivery. The friend who just talked about the appeals court, etc. It does not make sense that I have to travel to the head. We all have to have an arrangement where when you have a case, you can opt to be in court, or if you cannot be in court, opt to do it virtually, including the judges. We will do more cases that way. There are a number of things, even now, that we need to deal with, all right? You have a situation today, okay, where lawyers have to speak and wait for somebody to type it verbatim. In this day and age, when my phone can do transcription, and it messes with your mind, he can do something about that because the technology is there. In fact, they have some of the equipment even around. He can ensure that that thing is done. So we are happy to help him with that. Okay. Right. Now you have a situation today, and he mentioned it. Electronic service of processes. There is no reason why we shouldn't do that now. The technology is there. The reasons that everything is clear. If Martin has a matter in court, it should be possible to serve Martin by email and for him to also file by email. We have the software to do it. Why not? He should set the cost to do it. Today, every lawyer in this country has a number. Okay, that number, I've spoken to some of the people involved, can easily be converted to an email so that you have an official martin2120@gba.org, and we can use that as service in the course. What I'm saying is that we need to move hard into technology, and he, Justice Bafuboni, is speaking to it. For me, in the 1 year that he has, he can leave a legacy by setting us on a hard path towards that. Okay, and make sure that he is the Chief Justice who turned around the transformation.
Perfect.
Okay, so
but
concerning
all of this reform, we'll have to take a certain framework, for instance, because with what you have just indicated, which is long overdue, electronics servicing or serving of processes, the framework guiding the implementation would also have to be thought through, so that
it's already there. In fact, we have amended CI 47 to admit electronic service of processes. Today, as we speak, we do video. Like I said, when we are on holidays, when the courts are on break, I sit in my office, the judges come online, we all go in, we use Teams. Every lawyer knows this thing. So we are doing it now. We just have to mainstream it. Okay, and let me tell you something. Look, the biggest problem of judicial or justice system in Ghana is the judicial service. It is not lawyers or judges. It is bailiffs and process management and all those things. And there are very good people in the judicial service. I know some of them. They really work hard. The kind of paperwork they have to process. But there are some really bad nuts in that system. And I'm telling you, those who are resisting the reform are the ones benefiting from the current mess. Okay. And we should go up against them. So I'm simply saying all these things are already there. The emails, there. The online systems, they are there. We just have to make sure that, look, now it is not maybe we will do it. Justice Bafuboni set us on a hard path. If I have a case in WA, it should be possible for me to opt, even if I have to pay for it, to do it online.
Perfect.
This is the future. Start it now.
Great point. Thank you. Martin Kpebu, on this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it's good. It's good to have a new, for lack of a better way, let me say, new sheriff in town, a new CJ, right? Yeah. So let's see.
The focus is what can be done within this 1 year. Really, what do you expect within this 1 year?
Oh yes, a lot of reforms, a lot, and where Kofi ended. Let me start from that place. The number one thing I expect is the process serving. You see, this. Kofi said the service is a problem. The process service. So when you take a case to court, okay, there are officers who have to deliver those documents. So let's say, so can say you sue Professor Gyampo for $10 million, right? Now, when you file the case in court, there's an officer who has to take that document. So when we say process, we simply mean the documents that are filed in court. Anything filed. So writ of summons is a process. Application for injunction is a process. So forgive me if I forget I say process. It just means a document filed in court. But I'll try not to use the word process. Okay. Yeah. So those documents have to be served on Professor Gyampo. So there's that officer who has to go and give it to Professor Gyampo. The numbers are hugely inadequate. infinitesimal, let me use that word, compared to the number of cases in court. So the first line of reforms has to do with serving the court documents. We need a huge increase. Yes, some are saying the technology thing. We should do hybrid so that you pay. Let's do hybrid because yes, because there are a lot of lawyers who are still BBC, born before computer. No, this is not a forum. We cannot. Okay. No, some are old. So, look, some is age and the rest. So let's not go there. That's why I say let's. So if you don't convert, if you are not computer compliant, then you pay for it. I think that would be better. So the huge thing, even I don't want to add any other thing. Okay. If Justice Bafubon CJ can reform the bailiff system, there are thousands of unemployed graduates, etc., that we can employ. If he does that alone, for me, of course, judicial integrity, those ones are constant. But in terms of increasing the number of process servers, if he's able to overhaul that system so that we don't have that artificial shortage, which is breeding corruption. It's breeding corruption because the numbers are too few. So you always have to try and get the bailiff on your side. You have to increase that. Oh, no. It's terrible. I don't want to talk because I can see we've run out of time. So CJ Bafuboni, please, if you do the bailiff system alone, you are done.
Thank you. And I'll share the last couple of minutes between Dr. Zaato as a quick thought on this. And then Professor Gyampo. Yes,
I don't answer this one. They should have given Gyampo 1 minute and give me the rest of the minute.
Time is running, so please speak.
I understand. I'm just kidding.
Can Zaato? No. Dr. Zaato, please. Go ahead. Your time is ticking.
It's okay. There's one thing, there's something that is happening in this thing. And I think that if you listen to all the lawyers that spoke, myself and probably are not lawyers, nobody questions the credibility, the integrity of the CJ. If you listen to everybody says he's a nice guy, he's a very good jurist, and he has what it takes to transform the judicial system to be fit for the kind of economy we want to run. I'm cheering him on, and I'm praising that he succeeds because a modern Ghana, a successful Ghana, a powerful Ghana demands a judicial system that is equal in a similar form. That can also make sure that business cases are not there for years when they are truncating business development. Government policies are not sitting in court for years when they could lead to employment. So I want to see that, and I'm happy that everybody's about. You see, and that is what something Mr. Bentil said that is important. He did not deserve what happened in Parliament. He did not deserve it.
Okay.
But then there's also another thing we must then understand. What happened in Parliament, the CJ became a victim of the fruits of the poisonous tree. The poisonous tree here being the politically exposed way by which his successor was removed. If you look at the speed, the temerity, the determination to use every single political means to remove Tekonu, it is that poisonous tree that has really affected a perfect jurist and may go on to be on his record.
Thank you.
I pray that going forward, that we should never subject an equal arm of government to such blatant, naked partisanship. We should never do that. And I have said it, and I'm going to say this, and I don't know if you're saying the removal, the political and partisan way by which Tekonu was removed will be a blip on the legacy of essentially the president of the Republic of Ghana. So far he's doing good, and especially if he does his hometown road and my hometown road, he's doing good.
Thank you,
this thing will always be on his record. He will always be known as the president who removed a chief justice in his regime. Thank you.
Zaato, why is it that when you are talking, you won't take your time to talk? And then you smuggle your language inside, and then we don't know whether you are speaking English or time is ticking. When the time is up, I think that it is decidedly clear that the competence and the capabilities of the CJ, Justice Paul Bafuboni, is not in doubt. And so for me, I would wish him well and hope that within the limited number of time that he has, he'll be able to do something impactful,
significant and meaningful. Sometimes you get into public service and you truly will realize that if you have the will to effect a change, if you want to be a change maker, then you should be able to do something, even if you have 2 days, even if you have 1 week, even if you have 6 months. So I trust that you will be able to do something that posterity would remember him of. But the other bit is about the processes that led to his selection. You see, democracy is about majority rule and also the need to factor the views of the minority into whatever decision is taken. It is such that the majority would have its way, minority must have its say. But it appears that, looking at the conduct of the minority group, it was like it's either they have their way or they would walk away. And I'm thinking...
So, you see what I told you, and you see how it is. What you see. And it is stubby. A stubby what you say. A stubby now. The Biameka NPP as a political party. No. Oye communicator woman. Obre craching. Sebi. Obia. Although several hectares of what lands. NPP as a political party. No. Now so be defend your one. Ubebre. And no more communicators quabre. Ajo musem. Yes. And now more conform a casamomo. A monk form defend your mo. A monk form jinam de momo. A monk for or muye bibia de momo. And ne. O my ding. And ne. O moon sargeny. I'm telling you. A moon sargeny. And we a professor now ujina onum betena TV so. Now one who say professor now we know. Eye di baby mo duru. Enti no won toto nasia. Now the be defend the MPP. And the wa wasem o. Wa wasem. Wa widen wasem. Obi ntimi defend the party no. Party na prate chapansam. And then we can see the smoothness way. And MPP for nanka say bisa say Mahama no any NDC for munye sika wanya omudi develop your mind with. These are the questions they are asking themselves. And no more bizarre questions. Say GM onye sika wanya ine ohe budget e buy allocations sika otwa odi akofie chess sika odi akọ big push sika odi chese sika wa allocate ni nye sika kitwo onyanko ba obusia bia nso yetikwe ya. And I'm praying say afino enkombra that is 4 years nso na Mahama nkobo busia enka yebeda omwase because busia na ema oman wi ye ho kire ye kwa na kwesi broni atwa emrato wonom na yidi so enje abusianfo enseme wo honom ne se uye NPP ni sabria mo party no engina yi de wose mo ya ne se motena se na mo re-strategize because at this crucial moment no party ni engina yi party no engina ne nan so party ni engina ne nan so. So how on earth will you come and sit on television to defend party omonka sentiment defend party omonka sentiment defend your party omo national chairman antimi ankasa resign ben yiri ene ne ma ena modi krata aba monti so up to now nyankasa ai say party we ubetime die ne mo party yitu omo yitu omo fo omo fa party ubetime communicate am party we it dey be a better no na can people thought say mega dey on own issue with the party me MPP deɛ me inform ho minimum MPP ni bia minimum NDC ni bia but over how o man no esi kwana the direction of man ne kwana we need to talk but then glory be to God, thanks be to God, o man na yiye onyanyi yiye kwa kakra ene o man na yiye MPP fo ani ewu ena motifi afenyo makin ti say wa ya akwada ketewa bi ayine bragging mimentina minority side. It is not spiritually no when I sit there out kasa bibre ene. You see, so amamo eye sebi nyansa, amamo eye sebi adwin. Eye adwin. Eye adwin. And then you see what has happened. And before, shame on you. What no position at chase. One is some subaya. Professors na mo maya ma ju some beka samo mo he mo ni mo nyam na mo papa. Professor Kofi Bentil we dey say obi anim no. Propaganda hene. Ena wabet na TV3. Inti sana de ne tiabusia. Chira wadwen wo comment section ma memfa wisi. Ye kwa asore wate ase na bibia sa wo hwem so bia wa kwa asore ba depending on when I will video. Anyway, yankopon shiro bia subscribers yankopon shira wo. Keep on supporting Mega brand na yina yimpushi. Macro, bye bye.